Om Shanti, Om Shanti, and a very good morning. Um, Today, we all are here for a very wonderful topic, high jump to happiness. And if we all observe our lives, you'll see we all are pursuing happiness because it gives us a good feeling, a pleasant feeling. But sometimes in this game of life, there are situations, there are circumstances, and there are responsibilities, and there are mood swings, and we always feel that it is a bit difficult to remain happy. And in this pursuit of happiness, it feels like it is the most difficult thing. And as the time is progressing day by day, if you observe our lives 10 years 15 years back, it was comparatively very easy to remain happy. But with time, there have been external progress in everyone's life. There have been new shopping malls in the cities. There have been very good quality and branded clothes available. So many things and so many things for entertainment are there. But still, even after there are so many sources of happiness we are trying to pursue, we fail to remain happy for a sustained period of time. And that is why there's a deeper need to understand why we are not uh, able to remain happy. And that is why this topic is very beautiful, which is high jump to happiness. In order to be happy, you have to take a high jump. So we will understand on the basis of a few pointers, practical pointers, which I was churning out, how we can remain happy in life. See, if we want to remain happy, we have to know that there will be circumstances, situations, and things that will be happening in our lives. But in order to remain happy, we need to take a high jump uh, and not bother about all those things too much. So the first mistake that we make is we get entangled when a situation comes. We get entangled when someone misbehaves. We get entangled when we fail in certain examination. But when we realize that my happiness can be independent of these things, I can still remain happy even if there's someone who's misbehaving, even if a situation comes which seems a bit tough to handle. Because we cannot pray that in life circumstances won't come, situations won't come. If you realize your life, if you observe your life looking backwards, you will see every now and then there are challenges, there are circumstances, there are situations which are coming. And if my happiness is dependent on these external circumstances, if everything is okay on the outer level, I will remain happy, I can remain happy, then our happiness, it becomes dependable. And whenever everything seems comfortable on the outside, we tend to feel happy or comfortable. But when we learn to take high jump, uh, happiness, it becomes constant, it becomes lasting. By high jump, what we mean is not bothering or not to overturning the situations or problem. Today, if you ask, majority of the people have this problem of overthinking or churning about their problem. And when we churn about a thing, it we realize it deeper and deeper. And every second time you do it, every next time you do it, the impression it leaves on your mind is even deeper. And then even the smallest of situation becomes a very big situation. So let's take an example. If someone has misbehaved with me today, at that moment, I will try to analyze and realize that what did he say? There will be a certain amount of impact that thing leaves on me. But when I reach on it again and again, it goes deeper, and I will, number of questions will increase. Why this happened? Why this scene came? Why this person misbehaved? And then the impression on it leaves on our mind is very deeper. And then we listen to a class or a motivational video where the speaker says that you should remain happy, you should let go things. And we feel, yes, we should let go. And for that particular moment, or for a few hours, or maybe for a few days, it remains with us, what the speaker has said. And we try to forget that thing, but the impression which it has left on our minds is deeper, and it has become default. And then after a particular period of time, it comes back to us. No, but why this happened? And we always seem to be chasing happiness in such circumstances. So what happens by putting water, by using wipers, those front glasses clears, and everything we can see clearer, right? We cannot blame the person. If suppose my glasses are dirty, if and I feel, or I say that the person from whom I'm looking is dirty, right? So what we do is we use wipers, and there are two wipers. So that similarly, what happens is we tend to, our eyes tend to get dirty, and we see things from those eyes, from those perspective, and we feel that other person is bad, or the situation is bad, or other person is dirty, their behavior is dirty. But maybe we should check our glasses, whether our glasses are okay or not. So we use two wipers to clear the glass, right? Likewise, we should use two wipers, that is Gyan and Yoga, knowledge and meditation. By knowledge, we give ourselves conscious reminders that, you have to think positive, you have to think good about other person. Likewise, what we have to do is do yoga also, use the second wiper. By meditation, there is an inner cleansing of the soul. And when I am clean on the inside, what will happen is I will see things clear on the outside. I will start liking people. I will start having love for everyone. And that is why it is said that what you see in others is a reflection of you. And that is a completely right thing. What happens is we try to settle things on the outside level. We want that other person to become good, or we want that situation to change, but we never like to use wipers and clear our own glasses. That is the glasses of perception, how we see things. So rather than changing any person or situation, the first responsibility that comes to us is we should change the perspective of looking at any particular scene or situation or circumstance. If I'm internally weak, what I will feel is that the situations are on the outside are difficult. So anytime you're feeling that the situation is difficult, and if you observe yourself very closely, or sometimes what you'll see that on a particular day, the same situation will feel very difficult. On the same day, maybe in the evening time, you'll find that, no, it's not that difficult, I can deal with it. So how we see things, how we perceive situations, it completely depends, or to a lot of extent, it depends on how our essence of our personality is, right? If the essence of my personality is weak, I'm a weak soul, I will find problem in every circumstance and situation, right? And that is why, for suppose there are two different people, one people is suffering from cancer and the other one is suffering from fever. If the one who is struggling from cancer is mentally strong, he will make it like fever. He will say, okay, I'll deal with it, I'm okay, and he'll go through it. The other person who is mentally weak and is suffering from fever, he'll make fever like cancer, right? And he will create a lot of suffering. So in a particular moment, how much we suffer, it depends on our personality. It depends on how my present is. And that is why what at the current time, we cannot pray that there shall not be any chaos on the outside. There shall not be any situations. We have to be very wise while dealing with our lives. If you realize that every second day there will be some challenge, there will be some obstacle, there will be something or the other thing which is coming to me. So rather than praying for mercy and praying for those things to get over, you should pray, or maybe you should draw strength from the divine. You should make yourself powerful. And when I am powerful, every situation, circumstance, it feels very, very short or very meager, right? Just for an example, if suppose I am physically weak, or maybe I am suffering from fever, I'm having fever. If you'd ask a person who is having fever to bring a glass of water, he will take it as a very tedious task, and he'll feel very tired or scared of doing that, right? But if I'm physically very active and very okay, and you'd ask me to bring 2 buckets of water, I'll go run and bring it to you. So what happens is situations seem difficult. Our mind convince ourselves that yes, this situation is difficult, that yes, being happy is difficult. But what is important is first thing is to understand that it is the illusion of weakness that my mind is creating. Second thing is start working on yourself on the internal level, right? So in order to give high jump to happiness, stop churning too much about your problems. Stop even bringing it to your words also. Sometimes what happens is, suppose if someone has misbehaved or there's a particular situation, what we tend to do is we used to over describe it, and we tell it to ourselves also. If suppose you have too much work this week in the office, you tend to tell yourself that there's so much of work, I have to manage so many things, and every time you're repeating that, it is becoming bigger and it is becoming tough. And that is what you do with other people also. You tend to tell them, because that is what is going on inside, right? So what is important is to not overturn your problems. It is important to think about it, about the solution. We should think about the solution, but not too many times about the problem. It will make things very heavier. So what is important is use the vipers of Jnana in yoga. Do not overturn, and you have to use affirmations, which is referred as Soman. Sometimes what happens is, what we tend to do is, if we want to feel good, there are two types of people. If I want to feel good, what I can do, one option is I will think that other person is not very good. I'll compare my goodness or the good quality which I have with the quality which other person has in the lesser quantum. For example, I'm a very good speaker, just for an example, and other person is not able to talk very appropriately. What I will think is, I will try to compare. I'll think that that person is not a good speaker. I'm a better person, or I'm a better soul than that person. So it sort of, gives me a validation, or maybe it uplifts my confidence, boosts my confidence. So this is one way of getting up, by putting others down. And this is what most of us tend to do, or many of us tend to do. It is very subtle, because, being better than someone, it makes us feel good. It comforts us, right? And it is very subtle, and you always compare your strength with others' weakness. You'll never compare your weakness with others' strength, because you have justified your weakness. There's a reason you have that weakness, and there's a reason that other person also has a weakness. But what we tend to do is, we tend to compare our strength with the other person's weakness, and that gives us a sort of affirmation, that gives us a sort of upliftment. But what happens is, the relation with the other person, it tends to break. And there's another way to do is to feel that I am a very powerful soul, or being higher affirmations, giving self affirmation to yourself. And also telling yourself that other soul is also special. Other soul, by uplifting others, also you can uplift yourself. And that is when the happiness, it lasts longer, because in order to feel good, you have not made someone feel bad, right? When in order to feel good, I am making someone feel bad, or in order to satisfy my ego, I tend to put other people down. What it does is it creates a negative karmic account, right? So never compare, never put others down. So there's a very beautiful story which I've recently heard, which I would like to share with you. There was a classroom of numbers. Once there was a classroom of numbers, number 1 to number 9, and number 0 was also there. So what happens is number 9 slaps number 8, and there was a loud volume, loud sound in the class. And number 8 asked number 9, "Why did you hit me?" So number 9 says, "I have hit you because I'm bigger than you. I am 9, you're 8. So 9 felt very superior by doing this. So even 8 felt that 7 is smaller than me. So 8 slaps 7, 7 slaps 6. So the entire classroom, there are too many slaps, right? And when the turn comes of number 1, so number 1 goes beside number 0, and number 0 is now scared that number 1 is going to slap me. But what number 1 does, it goes on the other side and stands beside number 0. So everyone was astonished and surprised that in order to feel bigger, every bigger number slapped the other number, right? But what number 1 did, it went to the other side of 0 and it became number 10. So together they became bigger. So this is what practically happens in our society. What we tend to do is we tend to to make other person feel smaller, just in order to satisfy our ego. And the one who uplifts the other person, he earns the blessing of that person also, and it makes that person even bigger, right? So what is important in life is to practice affirmations in a very positive way, because there is a subtle difference between affirmations and ego. When affirmation, when I'm saying I am a special soul or I'm a special person, and I'm thinking that other person is not special, that person is stupid, that person is not so good. So it is ego, right? And when I feel that I am special and every other person is also special, it is affirmation, right? So never put others down in order to uplift yourselves. Now the next thing is, the important thing is, this life is about balance, right? Material and spiritual. So what happens sometimes is, we tend to ignore either of the factors. When sometimes you are spiritual, we ignore material. When sometimes, I am too much into my life, too much into earning money, I tend to ignore the spiritual thing. But this life is about balance, and balance brings bliss. When there is a balance in life, what happens is, happiness comes very naturally. So we need to bring this balance to life. Sometimes what happens is we say that I have too much to study, I don't have time for meditation. Sometimes we say I have too much inner work to do, and I am not willing to live in this world. I want to separate it. So what is important is having a balance of spiritual and material in life. And when we bring the balance in life, happiness becomes natural. So always consider both the things very important in life. And spiritual and material are not antagonistic. They are not opposites. When we become spiritual, our energy, it radiates on a higher frequency. It starts radiating on a higher frequency, and we naturally start attracting what is material. So when we are highly spiritual, or we can call it a checkpoint, whether your spirituality is working or not properly, or whether your energy cleansing is going on, or whether your vibration is raising or not. When we grow spiritually, what happens is materialistic things automatically follows. And this is what I have personally experienced in my life, that as I started growing spiritually, I've observed how material things started following me, even though I was not running behind those things. So God gives us this very beautiful phrase that when we run behind the material, we lose the spiritual as well as the material. But when we run behind the spiritual, automatically there's a synchronization. You tend to get spiritual and materialistic things follows, right? So sometimes what happens is we feel that happiness is in comfort, happiness is in a bungalow or in a car. Yes, we tend to feel good because we have experienced it, right? Whenever you order a new mobile phone, or maybe a new t-shirt from Myntra on a good discount, when it gets delivered, you feel happy. And that is how your mind has, read happiness. It feels that whenever I get something from outside, I will be happy. But we have to learn to bifurcate between short-lived happiness and long-lived happiness. When happiness comes from receiving something from the outside, yes, there is an happiness, but it is very short-lived. Just observe when there's a parcel received from Amazon or any website, and you see, you tend to feel happy, you tend to feel contented that there is some vacuum which has been filled. But you wear that cloth for 2-3 times, you tend to forget, and then you're looking for something new, right? So that happiness is very short-lived. But when happiness comes from giving something to someone, when happiness comes from doing something good for someone, maybe going to an orphanage, or maybe helping some friend who is not feeling well, that happiness tends to remain for a longer period of time. Because that happiness has come with blessing, with good karma, right? So never try to pursue happiness, because there is an illusion which is out there in this world right now. And look, there are so many people who are always doing shopping, who are always running behind materialistic things. But at the end of the day, you will see that there's not much of a contentment on their face. Sometimes it doesn't fill the vacuum; it creates vacuum, right? Ordering too many things, or pursuing the materialistic things, it starts creating a lot of vacuum. So what is important is we have to be very wise at this particular moment of time, when there are so many distractions, right? And always ask yourself, every time you are seeking happiness in things outside, just ask yourself that, will it make me happy, right? When we realize these things, we tend to look for long-term sources of happiness rather than running behind very short-lived sources of happiness. So when you connect your network interruption, so we were talking about, let's take an example. Suppose you have gone to a French place who offers you very tasty food with a lot of variety, with a lot of sweet, and he serves you by abusing you, or by using not so good words. Even though that that is something you like, the food is there which you like in front of you, but still will not feel good, because only the food doesn't content you. But suppose you're going to a friend who gives you a drink only, something sweet to drink, but he offers you with love, right? You are going to like. So only if food, or only if materialistic thing is going to make me happy, then irrespective of that person's behavior, I was supposed to feel happy, right? Even if he behaves in a rude manner, a rude way. But no, that person's love also makes me feel happy. So what is important is to understand that not only materialistic things are going to make us happy, right? So in order to remain happy, what we need to do is to give a high jump. Number one is to not to churn about our problems too much. Do not even talk it to someone or express it to a lot of people. Number two is use the vipers of knowledge and meditation, because it clears the illusion that world creates in our minds, right? And we start looking things with a very fresh perspective, situations with a very fresh perspectives, right? So instead of changing things on the outside, what we need to change is the perception, or what we need to do is to clear our own glasses, right? Window. And number three is to use affirmations in a right manner. Number four is to let go of the negative things, right? Sometimes what happens is uh, we tend to think too much about the negative things, or the person who has misbehaved, or anything from the past. We don't want to let it go. But it is always said that acid does more harm to the container in which it is stored rather than to the container on which it is poured. जिस कंटेनर में रखा होगा उसको ज़्यादा नुकसान करेगा rather than जिसमें वो pour किया जाएगा. So don't keep the negative feelings or grudges for anyone. It may cause them hurt. It may make you have the feeling of revenge, but it is going to affect you more than it is going to affect the other person, right? By taking these small steps, you can ensure to have a lasting happiness. By removing the illusions, you can ensure that your happiness lasts longer. So I think the time for this class is now over. We will meditate for a couple of minutes, and once the class is over, you can churn on the pointers which I've shared with you. So let's meditate for a couple of minutes. Bring your attention completely to the present moment, and realize that I am a subtle energy operating through this physical body. I can observe the air which is touching my skin. I can observe the sound, the tiniest of sound which is there around me. I, the energy, can see everything from the eyes. And in this present moment, I invite God and God's energy to everything I can feel, to the air, to the sound, to the surroundings. And God's remembrance, God's energy gives me comfort. At this present moment, I realize that I have to seek for long-lived sources of happiness, and realize that my happiness can be independent of external things. I realize that I should not seek happiness on the outer level. My happiness is independent of everything. I am the child of God, and I am being protected, loved, and appreciated. Om Shanti.